Welcome back to Video Game Bits. My name is Brett, and I am a lifelong video game enthusiast. I love video games. I play them, I collect them, I research them, I think about them every day. They are the great American pastime, in my opinion. Now, to everyone who has come out and subscribed to my video recently, I want to thank you so much. I have gained so many subscribers with my last two videos. That being gaming as an adult in your 40s and playing the Nintendo 64 in a treehouse. That must have resonated with you guys because I'm getting a lot of views. And again, thank you so much. Now, today's video is about video game collecting. And over here to my side, that is my video game collection. Well, most of it. That is the majority of the games that I have. I have some here. I have some consoles in the living room, and I have everything else in storage boxes in my room. So if this is the type of content that you're interested in, please give me a like on this video and please subscribe to the channel. Having said that, let's get started. All right, everyone. Obviously right behind me, here's the video game shelf. Now, it has taken some different forms over the years. I have gotten more games. I have set it up differently with different knickknacks. I've tried to figure out the best way to display my games. Now, video game collecting is quite an undertaking, especially if you want to do it right. I mean, anybody can buy a game, but if you want to show it correctly in your house, you've got to have some organization. You've got to have some self-rules for how you're going to display it. Before we get into all that, and before I give you a closer look at the games themselves, let's just start at the beginning. How did I get into video game collecting? Well, when I was a little kid and I was playing the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, I wasn't exactly collecting games per se. I might have been receiving them as gifts or buying them with some grass cutting money or something. I probably started game collecting somewhere in my 20s. And I didn't buy a lot. I just bought a few things that maybe I never owned or I sold a long time ago and I wanted back. Buying games for collection is not always because you want to play them. Sometimes it's to buy a little piece of history, buy a little trophy for your shelf. You know? All these games here, I'm never going to be able to play them. You know, some of them I have played, some of them I've not even played before. But it's fun, it's preservation, and it's something that we're going to lose in the future because of all the digital downloads or key cards. Now, there are many ways to display your games on a shelf, but you have to take into consideration all the logistics of it. What size is the game, you know? What series is the game? What console is the game? You know, not everything stacks up. When you have disc covers and stuff, yeah, that's going to match up whether it's a different console or not. But when it comes to cartridges, now they're not going to sit evenly on a shelf. So you've got to come up with a different plan for that. What I decided to do was I was going to go by series first, then everything else. Let's check out the collection. All right, this is my top shelf. I have a few knickknacks up here. In the back, of course, we got Pikachu from Pokemon. Now, this is my prized possession on the shelf here. This is the Mortal Kombat 9 Collector's Edition, the bookbinder with Scorpion here shooting the spear through the wall, coming out of Sub-Zero's chest. Now, I have decided to put all my Mortal Kombat games in here, at least the disc-based ones, and I got a Sega Genesis one on here just because it has a case. But as you can see, I've got a good selection here. I don't have every single Mortal Kombat game, but I'm getting there. Now in the back here, I've got a little bit of Pac-Man going on with the ghost and the cherries. My wife got me that. I got a little Squid Game character, and of course, we got Mario from Super Mario Bros. 3. If you remember from my previous videos, I told you I have about 7 different series that I really, really love. And I started out with the Far Cry series on here. Then, of course, I have many Call of Duty titles. And currently, I am working on a Madden collection as well. They're not too expensive to collect for. I got some Uncharted over there too. Now, of course, you might not have a perfect amount of games to fill up a shelf, so you throw in a couple of extras that just fill the gaps. Now down here is where we start putting just about everything else, okay? So I've got some Red Dead Redemption, some Dishonored, some Battlefield, some Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed. And over here you can see that I have a lot of different ones from a few different consoles. Once we get down to this shelf, now I am not putting a lot of the series together except for maybe these MLB ones and this Cabela's Big Game Hunter, maybe a couple Zumbas, but I decided to keep the Switch 1 games all together just because it's a smaller case and I just thought it would look better all together. I have a few Sega Genesis cases right here. Down here in these bottom cubbies, now I have my Super Nintendo and my Nintendo games. I'm actually going to show you those in a separate room. I'm going to put it out so you guys can see them a little bit better. Back here in the corner, I have a few Rock Band guitars. I'll pull one out for you. I pulled these out about a year ago because I bought Rock Band 4 on my PlayStation 5. Now, it was a PS4 game, but this is actually Rock Band 2 guitar from the PS3, and all that stuff is still compatible with the PS5. Pretty awesome. Now, everybody, this is my PlayStation 5 disc version. I have a SteelSeries headset, and I've even got a little PlayStation charger holder for the system as well. This is my main machine that I play over everything else nowadays. Now, game collecting, all this stuff is fun, but it entails a lot more than just the games themselves. It also has to do with posters, clothing, movies, whatever you have. Now, let's check out my posters. All right, now this is behind some plexiglass, so I'm gonna try to film it as best I can without a glare, but this is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for the Switch 1. Now, that's the remaster they did, from the Wii, and I bought it from GameStop. I pre-ordered it, and this is the poster that they gave me. In fact, all these posters right here were pre-orders from GameStop. Of course, one of my favorite series ever, Far Cry. This is Far Cry 6. And this is when I bought Super Mario 3D World. Yeah, they gave me this little poster. Pretty cool stuff. Now, I love Far Cry, but I really wish that I had a Far Cry 3 poster because Far Cry 6, honestly, in my opinion, was the weakest one yet. But I was trying to find some video game content to put on my wall, and this is what ended up there. Now, this is probably my best video game poster I have. This is actually from a company called Displate. They make metal posters, and as you can see, it has the villains from Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and 6 on there with the corresponding little symbol that flashes in the game. Now, this guy here, this is obviously my favorite villain of all time, Boss Montenegro. And 5 comes in a close second with Joseph Seed, but man, I love this series. All right, now I'm trying to show you guys this one. It's a little difficult with the glare, but I actually bought this from a Super Smash Brothers convention in Chantilly, Virginia. They have that every year. Big tournament. They play all the different games from all the different consoles there. Now, this is a scene from Monster Hunter. This is from Monster Hunter World, and I believe this monster's name is the Behemoth. It's one that I played one time, and it was a hard fight. You had to kind of work as a team to beat this guy. But very cool artwork. I had that on my wall at one point, but I took it down. If any of you decide to get a game shelf like this, there is one more thing you need to obtain, and that is a duster. You're going to need to have this to easily clean your games up. That's the only bite when it comes to displaying them. Unless it's behind glass where no dust can, get into, it's going to happen. All right, everybody, we have migrated to the living room now. This is the family TV. It's a 65-inch TV. I don't play games on this generally, but I do occasionally. Now, if you want to play games on a TV, that's perfectly fine. But nowadays, I play games on a 27-inch monitor. It's a lot easier for me to, frame the gameplay in one spot than to have my eyes bouncing all around a really large TV. Now, if you want to play your games, you're going to need a nice little console to stick it on. It doesn't have to be this wide or this big. It depends on what you got and what you want to display. I will say this though. If you display too much stuff, it's going to be gaudy. It's not going to be attractive. And, depending on what your home situation is, you may not be able to. Maybe you got little kids. Maybe you got a pet that's going to chew it up. Maybe you have some stuff that you don't want to get stolen and you don't want it out for display. Maybe you want it in a private room. But if you do have something in your living room, you need something to put the consoles on and hide the wires. There's nothing uglier than being able to see the wires coming out of this. All right, everyone. Now, this is the only Xbox that I own. I never owned any of those growing up. I was always team PlayStation. But now that I'm collecting, I want a little bit from the other side. Now, this one was gifted to me by my nephew. Thanks, V. This is an Xbox One S, and I have one game for it. I have the Tony Hawk Skater 1 and 2. Now, I'm going to pull these out for you to see. I got the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. Gosh, I love this thing. I also have the NES Mini as well. I love these little mini consoles. They come preloaded with a bunch of classic games. They have save states for you. They're just perfect. If you don't want to pull out your old game systems and try to blow on the cartridge and make it work, that doesn't make it work anyways, but you can just leave them on the shelf and play these. It's perfect. Now over here is a Wii U. Now, I got a Wii U for my kids back in the day, but now that I'm older, I wanted to collect one for myself, and I have modded this. Modding your old systems is a good way to preserve games, and you can do something called disk dumping where you are able to save the data onto a hard drive and just play it that way through the game system, never having to put the disk in again. Now down here is one of the best selling game systems of all time, the PlayStation 2. And right alongside it is the PlayStation 3. Now I have owned both of these. These are not my original ones, because back in the day, you used to trade these in because they were always backwards compatible. But I learned the hard way. I started collecting games because I wanted to buy back what I used to have, and I wanted to buy things that I never had. And once you got to the PlayStations and they started doing backwards compatibility, if you turned in your system after you were done with it, when you got the new one, you were golden because you could still put your disc in it. Now, I got the original PS3 Fat Boy model, and it was great. I played it for a very long time until it finally died with the yellow light of death. But then I bought a super slim version, and that's when I found out in real time that it is not backwards compatible. But at that point, I had sold the PlayStation 2. I was kind of out of luck. So now I am buying back my old consoles. I am buying back the old games, and I'm going to be able to play them again and forever. And I'm still in the modding phase. I've done the Wii U. I want to do the PS3 this year. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the best way to preserve your games and play them on whatever console or device you want. Now, of course, I've got some accessories here. I have a bunch of different PlayStation controllers there. Some are PS3, some are PS2. I got a GameCube controller. I had to buy that for my son when we went to the Smash Brothers tournament. But here's like a little adapter you can play it on, you know, modern consoles and stuff. In here I have an SSD, which actually has the games from the Wii U. And I have a little adapter here too, so you can download programs for Homebrew through the internet. And of course the cords for the Wii U, and I got a Genesis controller in a bag here. Now this is another thing that I'm going to touch on when we get into the other room. Organizing your stuff in bags. Now guys, I want to show you my Satisfy Switch 1 case here. This is a very good case. Listen to this. It's really tough, you know, and it's got a little pouch. You can keep your Joy-Cons in there. You put all the different games in here. Now, what's really cool is this. I'm going to show you in just a second how awesome this little grip is. Now, this is my Switch 1 back here and my nice little Pro controller. Yeah, it's kind of behind the TV a little bit, but you know, I don't want it to be out here blocking the TV, so it is what it is. Now, I'm going to try to show you this the best I can here. Check that out. If you got big hands like me, look at these meaty palms here, okay? You're gonna need a grip like this, because playing a little thin Switch 1, it is not gonna cut it. It's not gonna be ergonomic. It's not gonna feel good after you play for a while. And this little grip right here has been a lifesaver. I also had to get some reading glasses too, because even this little screen is too small for these old eyes. But Satisfy, they make a good product. All right, everyone. We're in the final segment of the video. We're finally in my room where all the other stuff is. Now, I usually stack this stuff up. I try to keep it as neat as I can, and I've been doing some reorganizing lately just to know where everything's at for the most part. I want to say before we go any further, you don't have to buy any of this stuff or anywhere near the amount of stuff I have. Now, I don't even have a lot compared to some collectors. A lot of this stuff was pushed on me by FOMO, you know? Now, that's not my goal here for you. I'm not trying to push fear of missing out. I'm trying to push nostalgia. I'm trying to resonate with that little part of your childhood that you love, that brings you joy, that you have brought into your adulthood as a good old pastime. And just getting lost in a game brings you infinite joy. So just know that game prices are ridiculous now. If you're asking the question, should I get into game collecting now? It's almost the same as saying, should I buy a house right now in this market in 2026? It's kind of crazy. I'll say yes, but only if you are seriously interested in buying some stuff. Don't blow your money on stuff that you don't care about. Now, most or all of my titles, I care about them. It's not my goal to have an entire console collection of games. I buy the ones that I played when I was younger, or never owned, or I want to complete certain series that really are close to my heart. Everything else, you know, it can wait. I have turned down the opportunity to buy some pretty great titles just because, hey man, money doesn't grow on trees. Now, having said all that, let's get to looking at this stuff. Now, before we open all this stuff up, let me just say, here's the two little cubby boxes that have all my Nintendo stuff in. After that, we got some big old tubs. They have consoles, they have cords, I have console boxes, and then I have some random miscellaneous stuff. And let me say this, guys. If you are a man or woman who is over 30 years old, you need a box like this. This is a box of old cables. And the reason you need it is because One day, you're going to try to hook up something like this, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't have the cord for it. What am I going to do? With every new TV or monitor, they are going to discontinue certain types of technology. The only way to get onto it is to have an adapter. I bet you within the next 5 or 10 years, they'll even come out with a different type of HDMI cord. Like, it won't be shaped the same as it is now. Currently, the most up-to-date type of HDMI is called HDMI 2.1. Actually, the monitor that I bought at the time was one of the few ones that had an HDMI 2.1 port, and that's why I bought it. Now, a lot of monitors come with that standard, but it wasn't quite as common just a couple of years ago. Now, the reason you need all those wires, and you're going to need some adapters too, is because maybe you first start out and you're like, hey, I got the composite cables, let's go. And you look at the back of your TV and you're like, it doesn't even have composite cables anymore. It doesn't even have 5 component cables anymore. That's something that was kind of like a technology that was here briefly and then it kind of got phased out. You might have this and you're like, what am I going to do? And so you're like, oh yeah, the RF switch, a coaxial, that will be great. But you know what? That's not even good enough. What if you want to run into a capture card in a computer? That's not going to fly. You're going to have to get something like this, okay? Now, this is a relatively cheap adapter, but it's got the component cables here. It's got an HDMI port there. You just need to hook up a little power source from a USB to a, receptacle, and you're good to go. But don't throw away your old cables. You never know when you're going to need them. I wanted to add something about these composite cables, okay? Now, on the other end of this cord, I have this particular adapter. Now, this is for the Super Nintendo. Now, this is the best way to go, okay? So, if you look for this is going to work with the Super Nintendo, and then this is going to work for the composite cables. And then you just got to bring your HDMI out, and then right here, you've got to hook up a little, I think it's micro USB, and you could have the other end be a USB-A and hook that into a power source, and you're good to go. Okay, guys, this is my NES collection. That's everything to my knowledge that I own. Now, I didn't own this many as a kid. I definitely had the Super Mario Brothers series, 1, 2, and 3. I had the first Zelda. I had Donkey Kong Classics. I had Punch-Out, the regular Punch-Out, not Mike Tyson's. That's actually on my to-buy list, but those are not cheap. I definitely had DuckTales, Dr. Mario. I definitely had Pinball. Some of the other ones that I bought, I have played at friends' houses, and I always wanted to own it myself, or it was just one on the to-buy list, like I always wanted to get Paperboy, and man, that's a fun game. Star Tropics, then this might be a niche game, but I always saw that growing up. I never knew what it was, and now I own it. Kung Fu. Now that is a fun game right there. Very fun. Ninja Turtles, I can't remember if I owned that as a kid, but that is hard as hell. Excite Bike, I definitely owned that one. That is just a classic NES game. Metroid, now I don't believe I owned that one, but I had a friend whose older brother was great at this game. Now the second Zelda game here, I didn't own that one, but I played it at a friend's house, and that brother I was talking about, now I remember this one time that I played that game at a sleepover and I accidentally deleted one of his save files. He was pissed. But guys, this is my NES collection. Some of these are easy to buy. Others might be up in value, but if you see a deal, it's in good shape, pick up what you want. Okay, everybody, this is my Super Nintendo collection. SNES, not SNES. Don't call it that. It's either Super Nintendo or SNES. Now, below down here, I've got some manuals too I'll show you in a minute, but this is my whole collection that I know of. Now, as a kid, I owned all 3 Mortal Kombats, plus the 4th one, the Ultimate Mortal Kombat. I owned Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run, Super Mario World. Whoop, don't fall off, baby. I think we might just have to take those down. I owned Mario Paint, Royal Rumble, Super Mario All-Stars, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. That's my favorite one from the Super Nintendo. I beat that. I love that one. I've got two different NBA Jams. I have the Tournament Edition and I have the regular one. Of course, I've got Super Mario Kart. I did a video on that a few videos back. Hopefully you guys check that out. My favorite racing kart game series of all time. I've got Turtles 4. Now, I did not own that one as a kid, but that is a sought-after game, and I bought it. I got it for actually $34. It usually goes for more than that, but I was lucky to get it for that price. Definitely had Monopoly, and this is a good collection. Oh, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Almost forgot that one. Now, that one I definitely owned as a kid. Killer Instinct, absolutely. Some of these I owned as a kid. Some of them I bought over time, and a couple of them are junk. There's a couple of like quarterback ones. I mean, like football ones here, pro quarterback, not very good one. I got it kind of as a lot with something I bought. And there's another one over here that I bought recently, NBA Hang Time. I'm an NBA Jam fan. NBA Hang Time, it doesn't hang with NBA Jam. Everybody, that's my Super Nintendo collection. I have a couple of other accessories I want to show you that came with this system. Now, I don't know if any of you guys know this, but for Mario Paint, it's got a mouse. Any of you guys ever play that game? I loved it. It's very fun. It's not a game per se. It's more of like a creative piece of software, but it's a lot of fun. Also, guys, I have the game Genie. Now, this is actually a little bit of a cheating device, okay? You just slap your cartridge in the top here, push the on button, and you type in some codes and it will give you like infinite lives. You can like change the color of something. That's just a little bit of scratching the surface of what this thing can do, but I have one for the NES too lying around here. Hopefully we find that. This is the Super Game Boy. So you could take Game Boy games, put them in this, slap it in your Super Nintendo, and suddenly you're playing a Game Boy game on your Super Nintendo. Pretty cool. All right, guys, I'm just going to pick up a couple of these and show you some cool stuff. Now, these old instruction manuals, they were really cool. They came with artwork, a little bit of a lore about the game. Oh, man, this stuff is so awesome. I love it. It also will show you how to use your items, how to navigate dungeons, the world, how to use your weapons. Right here is just showing you how to zoom in on the screen and zoom out. Oh man, I love it all. Check this out. Now, I kept this in really good condition too, guys. This is my original. Hopefully I don't rip it right here. But look, there's your map of Hyrule here, man. Isn't that cool? I love this game. Of course, I got other stuff. I got the one for Mario Paint, NBA Jam, Royal Rumble. Gosh, I got it for a lot of them. Oh, man. Oh, look at that. That's still in pretty good condition, too, guys. Super Mario Kart. Look at that. Shows you the items. How to power slide. Classic stuff right here. All right, everybody. This is my cords and accessories box. I've actually been organizing this. Now, earlier I talked about putting your stuff in plastic bags, Ziploc bags, gallon freezer bags. This is a good way to separate different components. You don't want to just throw it in that box over there like I have with all those cords, because if you're looking for a specific thing, you're never going to find it. You might not even know it exists if it's in a bundle like that. But check this out, guys. This is for one of those hunting games on the Wii. Put the little Wiimote right here. Now, I didn't even open this, but I bought another Wii, and it came with this, but I already had a few chargers and power cords and stuff like that, so I just left it bundled up. Here's a little Wii Zapper, another thing you put the Wiimote in. Played like Link's Crossbow Training. I just put a whole PS4 camera and plug in there. You know, I've got all my Super Nintendo stuff in this bag. This bag has like Nintendo 3DS stylus pens on one side. I got the little NES cover cases and the Super Nintendo ones on the other side. I got a bag of regular NES stuff. This is all like 3DS chargers. I don't even own one anymore, but I still have the chargers. This one is different little memory cards for the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1. Here's some Zumba belts. Any of you guys ever play Zumba, or your wife played it? Here's a bag of PS1 controllers. So, if you have multiple systems, you don't want a rat's nest of, you know, cords. Unravel that thing, neatly, you know, wound it up, stick it in a bag, and you're not going to have a problem. In fact, do one more thing. Take a bag or something like this, take a little Post-it note, write on the Post-it note, NES case, SNES case, stylus pen. Write all that on the little Post-it note and stick it inside the bag so you can visibly see it. That way when you pick up this bag, you're not like, what the hell is this? You're like, oh, yeah, good deal. Okay, everybody, this is some random stuff that I have. It's games, it's little knickknacks, it's a Game Genie. I'm going to show you what it is. Now, this is stuff that I couldn't display on the shelf. It's just, it doesn't fit well, or I don't really have that much of it, so it doesn't have its own section on the shelf. Now, here are some Genesis games, all loose. That is Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter, a different variation of the game. Another Sonic the Hedgehog. Mortal Kombat 2. Road Rash 2. Here's the Game Genie for the NES. Now, this one isn't quite as nice as the Super Nintendo one, you know. That one was cool, you popped it in the top. This one you have to really slide down onto the NES and then stick it in there. This is a color screen Game & Watch that I bought during the Legend of Zelda 35th anniversary. They did one from Mario too, but this one, it's really special. If I was going to get one out of the two, I'm getting the Zelda one. So maybe one day I'll get the Mario one. Now, this is actually an ocarina, okay? I tried to play it. I'm no good at it, but it's a cool set piece to have on your shelf if you can keep it from rolling off and breaking. And I think I got scared, so I took it off. Now, here are some random Game Boy games, original Game Boy. MK2. Super Mario Land. This is the classic that everybody has on the Game Boy, Tetris. Frogger, of course, that's a port over from the Atari. True Lies, one of my favorite movies back in the day. This is Dr. Mario. And this is also Super Mario Land 2. Of course, I've got some 64 games. I've got Madden 2001. I've got NBA Live 2000. And when I was in Toronto, I bought Perfect Dark. Unfortunately, it has some marker on it, but I actually have tested this game out. This is the one I had in my other video where we played in the treehouse. And I played that for the first time. These are the only amiibos that I actually own. I have two of these. I bought it when they came out with the remastered Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, with this amiibo, it lets you do this type of thing that you couldn't do normally, where you can like go to a bird statue and then go back to the sky. Well, if you put this on, you can transport from anywhere you're at. But I never wanted to open it because I just don't have anything cool like this that is still sealed up. Now, my son gifted me this. This is Magnamalo from Monster Hunter Rise, and I really cherish it. I would like to open it, but man, I'm thinking of this scene from The 40-Year-Old Virgin where he has all these toys from his childhood that he never opened. It's almost criminal to have a collection like that as a child and never open it. But now I'm an adult, I kind of do want to have a couple things that are sealed. Other than that, I have a couple little figurines of Luigi and Yoshi. This might have even been like a McDonald's toy. I can't remember. Now check this out. This is something that you probably don't see every day. This is back from the time of Super Mario World when they came out with a little watch, a literal watch that you play the game on. You can kind of see like the background here on the watch. It looks like Super Mario World. I remember as a kid, I really loved this thing. Just had 4 little buttons to navigate Mario. 2 little buttons on the side. And look at this. Has a little port on the side so you can put in earbuds or headphones. One more little bag I have here. This is all the little dongles for Rock Band 2. And I have some more little instruction manuals, cheat code books, stuff like that. This actually has some of the Game Genie codes that didn't come with the original booklet. I want you guys to see this little poster here. Now this is definitely a blast from the past. Look at that. It's got the Game Boy, the NES controller, the NES, plus the Super Nintendo and its controller. On the back, check this out. Isn't that awesome? I'm pretty sure I had one of these on my wall back in the day. Now everyone, when you were a kid, depending on how old you are, I'm 44. Your parents probably bought you a system, gave you the console, gave you the game, and tore up and threw away the packaging. Now, packaging can be art in itself. And it's kind of a shame that a lot of that stuff was thrown away. Because if you try to buy one of these just boxes from back in the day, they will charge you an arm and a leg because it is truly rare. And what's crazy is some of them aren't even in that good of a condition. And they want to still charge you, you know. But I tried to save some boxes back from the Super Nintendo era, and I remember that I had them in good shape. But after I moved out of my parents' house, I had left some stuff behind, and I put it in some type of box or container, and it got smashed. The boxes were completely flattened by the time I came back. And for some reason, I was like, oh, these are flat. I don't want them now. And I threw them away. And I've been kicking myself ever since. I mean, like, I had all the original boxes. Mortal Kombat 1, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World. Now, if I want to get that back, it's going to cost me a pretty penny. But let me show you what I have saved as an adult. Now, some of these are boxes. The first thing I'm going to show you is actually just a shopping bag from the Nintendo in New York when my wife went and got me something. It's pretty cool. You got a link right here. This is my PlayStation 4 Slim model box. Not very attractive on the front, but on the back it shows you a couple games here, you know. Pretty good. The box that I really like is this one, though. Check this out. This is the Last of Us cover on my PS3 Super Slim. Man, that is an awesome cover. This is my favorite box, actually. And one of my favorite games of all time, too. Probably one of the best stories ever told on PlayStation. And what HBO is doing to this show, oh, they're messing it up. Guys, I saved the Satisfy gaming grip box that I showed you earlier, too. This is from my Super Nintendo Classic Mini out there. I even saved the boxes from the controllers. This is from the NES Classic Edition Mini. Now that's a beautiful box. Look at that red, okay? This is from my Nintendo Switch 1. This is the version 2 with the better battery life. Classic Joy-Con colors, love it. I saved the box for my PlayStation controller. It always looks good in matte black. Best looking color. Maybe one day I should get some side panels that are black too. Kept the Joy-Con box. Now this one is in perfect condition. This is a Nintendo 2DS box. Man, one day I'm gonna buy a Nintendo 3DS XL back because I used to own one. I'm going to mod it and it's going to be like the perfect retro machine. This is the Wii U box I got for my kids. The Wii U I have didn't come in a box, but this is an awesome cover with Super Mario 3D World. Check out the back. It's got the U with the little cat ears from Mario. Isn't that sweet? Now, like I said, this is the console I play on primarily these days, the PlayStation 5. I cannot tell you how proud I was to get one of these when I did. In a previous video, I mentioned it. I did not buy it at first because I couldn't get it. Every time you try to buy it online, it was immediately bought out. But a year later, I paid an upcharge and bought it on eBay, and it's the best money I've ever spent. This is definitely a great console. Not a very attractive box, but for what it is, it didn't even matter. Now, this next one, this is the Mario 25th anniversary Nintendo Wii. I bought this for my kids in 2011. And man, look at that red Wii, that red Wiimote. I absolutely adore that color. My son still has it, but it's just perfect. The box, the color on the console. Have you guys ever seen one like this? If you can find one in good condition, it's not beat up and scratched, it might be one to pick up right here. I want to show you guys something. Now, I kept this from my childhood. This is absolutely original, classic Nintendo stuff. This right here is a cover. This is a cover for a little kid's bed, okay? It's got Legend of Zelda stuff on it. It's got Mario on it. Check that out. Even got Bowser blowing out some fire here. Got some Goombas. You've got scenes from the actual game. This is definitely something collectible. Now, I don't put it on beds anymore, but I might have put it on my kids' beds when they were younger, but now we just take care of it, make sure it doesn't dry rot or mold. It's a good collectible item. All right, guys, the next collectible up is magazines and codes and folders. This right here I got from the Nintendo Points program they had at one point. If you bought games, they would give you points. You could turn them in and get cool stuff. This is a folder that I got with Bowser and some Dry Bones turtles. This is just a folder that I saved from a long time ago where, look at this. Oh, look at that. I was looking for this. Oh my goodness. This is awesome. I found it on. Yes. I love it. This is like a little code book that helps you get through the game because it's so cryptic. Awesome. I thought I lost this. That is great. All right. So this is something I did for like Mortal Kombat. I wrote down a couple of the characters' like moves. That's awesome. Let's see what else I got in here. I had like Xerox copied some like part of a magazine talking about how you do like the Melina Babality. Oh man, look at this. I wrote some for NBA Jam. Half court dunk, look at that. I was writing down the code for half court dunk. Oh, look at this one. Look at this, guys. I don't know if you can tell by this text here, this font, but I literally did this on a typewriter. Yeah, back in the day, I did it on a typewriter. That's so awesome. Oh, look at this. I got like Game Genie codes. Yes. And I like Xerox copied something from like probably a Nintendo Power magazine or something. Then in here, look, I have like some code for Hitman, code name 47, some type of cheat code. Look at this. Something for Excite Bike, some type of codes in there. Look at that. That must be a Game Genie code. Something in me told me I need to write this stuff down because it might not be here in the future, but now everything's on the internet. But still, it's pretty good because one day maybe something becomes obscure and it's unavailable. Look at this. This is another folder here. This one, cool, man. I pulled this out of a Nintendo Power magazine. It tells you some like little shortcuts in Super Mario Kart. Whoa. Look at this. Oh yeah, man. I got all these notes. Man, I did like a bang up job here, dude. Wow. And look at this. Guys, you can tell that I am a neat freak here. Even back in the day, I had all these little tabs and stuff. Like Mario Kart, Royal Rumble, NBA Jam, MK1, 2, and 3. Oh. Look at that. I guess I got it on the other side of it here, but yeah. Look at that. Yeah, back in the day before we had the internet, we had to go on these magazines to find out about new games, cheat codes, how to get through these stages. Yeah, this one's in pretty good shape. I actually started subscribing to Nintendo Power later on too when my kids were playing. And so I have some newer ones and some older ones. And then I have something like this. You know, this is really old. Look at this. Now this right here is very old. Look like I got it from a yard sale. It says $1. Yeah, this stuff is cool, man. Oh, you love that? Yeah. Now this one's definitely a classic. This is from a long time ago. And this one, oh yeah. Back when Mario Brothers 3 was out, this was like a total guide to it. Oh man, memories. Look at that. I just watched that movie over Christmas. R.I.P. Catherine O'Hara. Definitely a classic here. Look at that. Mortal Kombat, Super NES, and Game Boy. All right, everyone. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. And I saved the best for last. I'm going to show you the rest of my consoles that I have in this big old tub here. I got a few things on top I'm going to show you, and then we're going to open up the tub. So guys, this is a Nintendo 64. I did not own one as a kid because I had a gap between the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation 2 when I got back into gaming. My mom actually got this for me for free through somebody she knew who wasn't using it, and they had it like in an old box, but it works. It works. I had to clean it up a little bit. It's still a little bit dirty, but that's how it goes when you buy used stuff. If you don't own it, sometimes someone else, they don't take great care of it. Now, this is in my collection out there, but this is actually a duplicate. That's another thing that happens when you're collecting. Sometimes you get a duplicate game and you don't know what to do, so you just have to kind of put it to the side. Now, this is another duplicate game of the actual Last of Us game. Like I said, guys, one of the best stories ever told on PlayStation. And these ones are some random loose ones, or ones that you got from GameStop that didn't have the actual cover, so it's not very appealing to put in your collection for display. So those just stay in storage. I got a little stack of PC/PS1 games, a few Tomb Raiders. I got the Madden 2000. By the way, in my other video with Madden, I was telling you I was looking for this and couldn't find it. Well, I found it. I have it. It isn't lost. It's here. This is like probably the first Madden that I owned and played on a very primitive PC back in the day. This is a PC game called Carmageddon, where you basically just have this big race, but you're supposed to win it. Instead, you're running over people and cows. Crazy stuff, but it's a fun game. And of course, I had like the original Hitman on PC too, so good stuff. This is my personal Wii. Now, what's cool about this one is it's a black version that actually has the GameCube ports for controllers. Not a lot of the black versions have that. So I'm glad that I own this one. Now, this is definitely a PS2 controller, green version. And of course, I have an N64 controller, one of the craziest looking controllers that I've ever seen, but they actually make something, I'm going to try to flash it on the screen. They make another controller by another company to make it have a modern feel. One day maybe I'll buy that, but for now I have multiple ones of these. All right, this is the big tub. This is where I got all the good stuff. This is a Genesis version 2. I did not own one personally as a kid. My friends did. They had Sonic. They had all that good stuff, Streets of Rage 2. But I bought one, and I'm going to buy the version 1 also, because this one is just kind of like the super slim version of a Genesis. Now, of course, I got the classic NES. Oh yeah, the one you thought you had to blow the cartridge for, but you were just basically getting the little pins all rusty from the moisture on your saliva. But anyways, this console right here, oh man, it used to make me so mad because as a little kid, I was not very good at games and I used to throw tantrums. But great memories, great starting spot in my video game journey here. Guys, this is the NES Advantage. This is basically if you still want to play an arcade game, but you're on the console, and it gives you a little bit of feel of that, you know. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was actually featured in the movie Ghostbusters 2 when they took control of the Statue of Liberty and like put ectoplasm in there and they played good vibes with some good music and made it go. They controlled it with this. Do you remember that? Now, this is the Super Nintendo, the SNES. Now, I played a lot of good games on this one. In fact, I started with the NES, but I feel like I have the most memories with the Super Nintendo. And this is definitely a classic. It's one of my favorite controllers that comes with this console as well. Definitely one for the books. This is my original Game Boy. I had a lot of fun with this thing. Used to do games in the car while my parents were driving on trips. I had like something called the Light Boy that went over top of it with a light and a magnifying glass. Now, I didn't own these ones, but this is a Game Boy Color that I picked up, you know, along the way. And this is the Game Boy Pocket. It's a really nice color. I really love navy blue, so this is pretty close to that shade. This one I picked up along the way as well. It's very light, and I love collecting. Have any of you ever seen this? This is the Game Boy camera. You slide it into the Game Boy and you can actually take a picture of yourself. And they make a little printer too. You can print out the picture of yourself and it might have a couple little games on it too, believe it or not. This is the original PlayStation. Now, I did not personally own the original PlayStation, but I had friends who did, and that's how I got into Madden, by playing it on there. And also, some of my early memories were having a friend who had Resident Evil, the first game, on this one. This is also the PlayStation 1, or PS1. This is like the slim version of the first PlayStation. Okay, now guys, this is the last piece of equipment that I own, and actually, this is the first thing that has ever introduced me to games at all. It is originally owned by my dad, adopted by me. Check it out. Now guys, this is the Sears version of the Atari 2600, okay? Yes, this is the original Atari by Sears. Now, I have quite a collection of games here, okay? Asteroid, Blackjack, Miss Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Original Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Frogger, Enduro, River Raid, Centipede, Q*bert. What's this one? Oh, Video Pinball. I've also got another Video Pinball. Look at that. I have Pitfall. And of course, what they say is the worst game of all time, E.T. But I only bought it because they said that. It's not actually the worst game of all time, but this is quite the collection here. Now, these games are actually not too hard to collect for. They're not that expensive, but you can find them at your local retro video game stores. If you started with games like this back in the day, you really have a total appreciation for the modern console. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed my collection. It has been a lifetime of picking up these things, and I care so much about physical games. You got to preserve them because the digital future is here. And by the way, I do have more games. I have digital games as well on my PlayStation. But I got back into physical because once that goes away, this is all that will remain. If you guys were wondering, how do I know what I have? How do I keep up with everything? I actually use an app on my phone called GameEye. It's totally free, and you can enter in manually all the games you have. You can scan barcodes to pull it up. You can type in the exact condition of the game, if you have the box, if you have the instruction manual, or anything else. You can keep it all there in that app. You can actually export it and have it printed out too as a backup hard copy. Because sometimes I go to game stores, sometimes I go to yard sales or flea markets, and I get up to a vendor and I'm like, do I have this game already? And I've actually passed up games because I thought I already had them, but I didn't. I've only got duplicates once or twice in my life. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video today. And of course, one more time, you only have to buy what you want to buy. You don't have to buy anything. I'm not selling you FOMO. I'm selling you nostalgia. And I'm trying to bring you some joy out of seeing this old stuff. If you like the video, please give me a like. And please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, keep a full loadout and never be afraid to be a rogue faction in a game full of NPCs.